I was insulted when I walked in today, Dan.
Because?
So I'm a little bit off today, all right? Number one, I have a sty in my eye. It's throwing my whole game off. That's number one.
And you were wrong about everything that you thought was going to happen in sports over the weekend.
Well, now the gig is up, all right? I don't know anything about basketball. So we could talk about that in a moment if you want, but that's not what was insulting.
Finally, you say it.
What was insulting was I'm in a different car this morning, all right? I got to take my car in because my car has no battery. So I brought my wife's car, but that also means it's missing some things that I need, like my hats. All my hats are in my car. I arrived and I'm like, damn it, I don't have any hats. And so I walked in, I got no hat on. I sit down to start my work, and Lewis, the first thing he says to me, he goes, you have your hat today, right? What kind of way to greet me is that?
But why is he greeting you like that?
Because he looks bad without a hat.
What else can I deduce from that comment?
That's clearly what is meant by that.
I didn't get a good morning. It was, I have your hat, right?
I thought he was asking you, do you have your hat right? Because there was some sort of bit he was trying to execute that required you to have a hat.
No, he was just shocked at how Zaz looks like without a hat on.
How else could I possibly take that?
And when you said, yes, I do have the hat, he was like relieved. It was like, whew, good.
It appeared that way.
So that's the interaction that you had with him, where instead of saying good morning to you, he's saying sort of passive-aggressively, before hello, before did you have a nice weekend, you have a hat, right?
I walk in, I put my stuff down at the table, I say good morning, a collective good morning to the three people who are sitting at the table, and Lewis just goes, you have your hat today, right? The fuck?
Zaz, a question, because obviously you're the only bald one here. I've when we're doing makeup and stuff, like if you weren't to wear the hat, would they put makeup on your head and just keep going all the way
up? Did Roy all of a sudden grow hair?
Roy's got hair. Roy's not bald. You're bald.
Wow.
Bald, capital B. Hard B.
Why is he coming after you, Roy? What did you do to deserve that attack from Zaslow, who clearly is projecting? And amazing that Lewis wouldn't ask you about the sty that you have before saying that you think feeling like a hat, a baseball cap would somehow cover up the sty.
I don't know, man. I didn't do anything, man. What's the matter with you, Zaslow? Just because you're bald doesn't mean you can take it out on other people.
You're bald.
Again,
I chose to be bald.
Again with this? Where are we on this? I think Roy has hair. Roy is often wearing a cap.
Roy's got hair.
Roy's got hair. I don't know why you're accusing Roy of being bald when you're the only bald one here, and you're so bald that people are comfortable telling you upon greeting you that you need to do something with your appearance.
I don't understand. Like, why is it okay for everyone to make fun of people who are bald? And it's a big deal when you make fun of other stuff. But everyone's good with bald.
All right, but put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are you okay in a progressive, woke America still making fun of bald people?
Basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man-to-man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots, a dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say's a gag. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back.
I think it's a pretty rare story to have a defending champion basically feuding with its most ardent customers. I don't think that that's the most normal thing in the world, so we'll get to that Inter Miami story in a second. But another thing that I don't think is normal is Troy Aikman working with the Dolphins while broadcasting games as the biggest announcing team. That is the biggest announcing team there is in football. Tom Brady's not there yet, correct? The biggest announcing team there is in football is Buck and Aikman, correct? Mm-hmm. Or is it Collinsworth and Tirico? What is the biggest announcing team in football?
The NFL made Sunday nights its primary primetime focus. That is where the best game goes, and if we're going by that logic, then it's the announced team that broadcasts that game.
All right, so put that on the poll, please. The biggest announcing team in football is blank, and then your choices would be only Collinsworth and Tirico and Buck and Aikman. I guess you could go...
Nance Romo would probably get a lot of votes.
All right, so go Nance Romo as well, and I guess go Burkhead and Brady as well. So that's your 4 big ones. But here is Troy Aikman, who works with the Dolphins and is clearly hurt that he's not allowed to do this job for the Cowboys where he'd like to be doing it, but he's never been asked to do it. Here's Aikman both tooting his own horn and in a sentence saying a really funny thing that he is not self-aware about at all.
I think the Dolphins were wise in understanding my relationships around the league and knowing that I have information that they don't have or can't get. And I think they were smart in taking advantage of that, whether it was through me or through somebody else. Right. The Cowboys have never elected to do that, at least with me. Right. Maybe they have with others. But no, I don't feel there's a conflict. But I will say I'm pulling for the Dolphins because now I have something at stake. And I think they hired 2 really talented, wonderful people. And I think that's going to prove itself out. Now, 26 is going to be a tough season because of the cap that took a big hit when they let 2 go. But, time will tell. But, yeah, I'm pulling for them. I want to see them do well because I feel like my fingerprints are on it as well.
Zaslow, do you think Colbert's last show is this week is the #1 late night show in America? Do you believe that I can replace him successfully simply by playing this sentence from Aikman over and over again?
I don't feel there's a conflict, but I will say I'm pulling for the Dolphins.
I like it.
What's his conflict, right? He's calling Monday night games. They don't have any sort of primetime games, so it's like, I root for him.
The Dolphins are among 5 teams that don't have any primetime games. They're all the worst team. Does anyone care? Does anyone care at all? Because you seem to care on Brady. Brady, for some reason, did cause a lot of consternation, Zaz, because he's doing multiple jobs and he has conflicts, and people were complaining about that part, but I don't hear a whole lot of people complaining about Aikman, and I don't think it's because they know that on Sunday, or over the weekend, they released a schedule, I guess they did on Friday, that shows that the Dolphins don't have any Aikman games.
Forgive me for not remembering. Is Brady allowed in the production meetings? Like, where are we on that? Didn't they remove him?
They initially softened it, and then he was shown in a booth wearing headsets, and then they came back and corrected that correction and said it's not allowed anymore.
Okay, because like Aikman can say there's no conflict, but I'm rooting for the Dolphins. I mean, there is a conflict because it doesn't matter that the Dolphins aren't on Monday Night Football. It matters that he gets to talk to teams in production meetings who the Dolphins are going to play throughout the entire year and use that information to give, the team that he works for and that he's rooting for because, in his words, he has a lot at stake.
I don't feel there's a conflict.
It's a conflict.
I don't feel there's a conflict.
Now, I like the conflict because I'm a Dolphin fan, but it's a conflict.
I don't feel there's a conflict, but I will say I'm pulling for the Dolphins.
Well, all right.
Do you guys believe what he's saying there, that he has access to information that others don't have, that the Dolphins cannot get the information, that Aikman, that there's information unique to Aikman that the Dolphins don't have another way of getting that's not through Aikman?
For what I just said. Exactly what I just said. You have coaches who are divulging information that regular media members would not get because these guys are in a room asking about details that they could use during the game broadcast. No one else in the Dolphins building gets that information.
Stands to reason that a broadcaster of the stature of Troy Aikman would have a pretty good idea because of his stellar relationships throughout the league. Who is well respected, who isn't, who are the bright up and coming minds. I'm sure he hears about all that stuff.
One of the things that Aikman also said is he is conceding, as many people are, that the Dolphins will for sure be bad this year. They are 4.5, last I checked, is the total on wins this season. The over-under is 4.5.
Big week one.
That's, one at the Raiders, and then they're just going to stay in California and then get massacred by the 49ers the next weekend. But the teams that don't have primetime games are the Jets, the Raiders, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Dolphins. In other words, the regional teams that nobody wants to watch. Cowboys have 6 primetime games alone. Aikman would have a conflict there, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
An obvious conflict in that the Cowboy players get a disproportionate amount of the good broadcasting jobs. Proportionally, it doesn't even make sense how many Cowboys or former Cowboys are allowed to have some of the sweetest jobs in sports. Even when Jason Witten's not in any way interesting, he's somehow elevated. His button hooks are put on Monday Night Television before they get rid of him. But the Dolphins are entering the season with something they've never had before, Zaz, and I don't know how we make an accurate measurement on the quarterback when everyone's conceding this is going to be a disaster season. It's all rebuild, but they have, as the sport has shifted to mobile quarterbacks, and really as the running back has become disposable, the quarterback or the teams with quarterbacks that move around have an advantage that the other teams don't have because they can use their quarterback as a running back. The Dolphins, who's the best running quarterback the Dolphins have ever had?
Well, Tannehill was able to move. He was a wide receiver. I don't know if you knew that at Texas A&M. He was able to move. Fiedler was able to move, but they weren't fast. Those
Jay Fiedler could move?
Oh,
Absolutely.
God, could he move?
I will accept no Jay Fiedler slander here.
I mean, I think his biggest play as a Miami Dolphin that landed an
on.
SI cover against the Raiders was him scrambling to the end zone.
First game after 9/11, that was for America. Talking about couldn't run. They've never had a running quarterback, all right? Like this guy, they've had quarterbacks who can move. This guy can run.
They're going to be a running team. It's not just that Malik Willis can run. It's that the way that they accent the running of the ball, the Green Bay brain trust, is they run the ball with their quarterback, and then this quarterback is also very good throwing the deep ball. So he's very good at explosive plays because you have to guard against the run.
There is obviously the thought, how are they going to be able to evaluate Malik Willis the next couple years when they're not good and they don't have a lot of weapons? But I do believe it's probably possible that because the guy's in charge, the head coach, the general manager, having seen what they've seen from him the last couple of years, maybe Malik Willis doesn't even have to necessarily be great these next couple years, where he's going to have a really long leash because these guys feel they know who he is and they understand there's not a lot of talent around right now. It's going to take a little bit of time.
He's got as long a leash as they do. That's his leash. He's got 2 years of guarantees. He's got a 3-year contract, but basically he's tied to them. They will succeed and he will succeed based on what this partnership is. He could have gone a lot of places to get that amount of money. He could have gotten to a lot of places that have better chances next season for the same amount of money. My guess is that he chose Miami because of the relationship with these people and because he doesn't want to start someplace where he doesn't know the leadership. So he's willing to bank what is and what can possibly be his one opportunity, right? These opportunities are hard to come by, and it is possible that if he fails in this opportunity, there is not another one for him as a starter. Like that is something that can happen. So what he chose was, I want 3 years to prove myself, not a year. I want 3 years to prove myself with people who know me and people I trust will not lie to me about what it is that they're offering me because there's a built-in relationship. There is something to be said for that, but I do think there's something more to be said for, I want great skill position guys. Has Russell Wilson decided between backup quarterback of the Jets and the broadcasting job? Because Steve Kerr just decided he didn't want the broadcasting job. Steve Kerr could have made reportedly $7 million a year as a broadcaster without quite as much travel, without the craziness of whatever is coaching Draymond Green is, and he went back for 2 years. But Russell Wilson right now is weighing Jets or broadcasting, and I'm assuming broadcasting is tempting because he doesn't want to be the backup for that franchise with that leadership. I'm guessing. He hasn't made the choice yet, but I told you guys last year that I thought Russell Wilson to the Giants would be sad, that I was sad for everything that Russell Wilson has been, and to see him go to the Giants made me sad. To go as the backup of the Jets, to just hang on to the fringes of the league when you have no chances of any kind of success, 0% chance of success, makes it awfully tempting to be in the broadcast booth and not get hit.
Quick update on the Miami Dolphins' best rushing quarterback of all time. It is Jay Fiedler, who has the most rushing yards by a quarterback in the history of the Miami Dolphins with 321 yards.
Hell yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, 311. David Woodley, 272. Jay Fiedler again, 267. And to round out the top five, Ryan Fitzpatrick with 243.
How many career yards did Jay Fiedler have rushing the football, and how many career yards did Dan Marino have rushing the football?
I want to guess Marino.
It'll probably be negative yardage for his career, don't you think?
I don't think it'll be negative. I'm going to go with 18.
You think, let's see if we take some guesses here on career rushing yards for Dan Marino. Do you go over or under on Zaz's guess of 18 yards for his career? Also put that on the poll as well, at Le Batard Show. Dan Marino rushing yards for his career, over, under 18 yards.
Can I get a hook on that? 18 and a half or
it's
not?
basically a yard a
Yeah,
season.
we got to go half. Make it a half. 18 and a half.
He averaged 1 yard per season.
Can't have a push.
I think my guess is good.
It's a good guess in terms of setting the number in a place that's going to get action on both.
I think you're selling him short, dude. I think he's got like 64 rushing yards.
So the sacks aren't going to be held against him, but I do think scrambles, well, those are all sacks, right? So I guess it's got to be.
No, they differentiate.
But I don't think that. I think anything behind the line of scrimmage is a sack, correct? It's not like he's going to be doing a lot of RPOs.
I got stuck.
No, but if you're running away and you run out of bounds, you don't get a sack for that.
Okay, but go ahead and find the number for me on what is the career yardage, rushing yardage.
This is big.
It's going to end up being.
So I
more
have
than
the
18.
number, but before I say it, and you want to put your guesses in, 12 of his 17 seasons, he had negative rushing yards.
I might be too high.
Oh, you are then? No, if what you think in those 5 seasons he had 1,000 yards rushing?
What's his career high?
I also like Tony doing, not since he impersonated Fernando Mendoza in our live stream, because we couldn't get the B-roll to any live game action. Have I seen Tony do a better pantomimed impersonation than Marino in the open field shuffling his hips? I don't want to guess anymore, Jeremy. Just give us the number.
87 career rushing yards.
Whoa!
How about this? 1992? 66 rushing yards on 20 carries.
That is career high.
That's his career high.
Look at the mathematician over there.
Way off.
Jay Fiedler in his career, 854 yards, and a per 17-game average, he would have averaged 191 yards a game.
Hell yeah. You know about them athletic Jews, Dan? Come on now.
Hell yeah. Or should I say hell yeah?
Do I want to put on the poll, do you know about those athletic Jews? At Le Batard Show. Let's get to this Inter Miami story. And I haven't mentioned, by the way, that the coach of the University of Miami football team is going to testify in a murder trial. We'll get to that in a second. Inter Miami is feuding with its fans. Zaslo's out on Inter Miami. Zaslow checked out on Inter Miami before they won the championship. Thinks it's an unlikable team, even though they've got the best player in the world on their team. That supporting section that Inter Miami has, I can argue, is as passionate a fan base as you will find anywhere in our sports history. What they do during games, the celebration and their allegiance to the team makes them feel like they are absolutely a part of the success of Inter Miami. And to my way of understanding, and you guys please correct me if I have any details wrong here, All they want from their team is an acknowledgement after the game, a wave, and a little bit of applause from the players that say, hey, we noticed you. Thank you for coming and spending the entire game jumping up and down and making noise and singing and exhausting yourself like I have not seen from just about any corner of any fan base in the history of South Florida. I don't even know what to compare it to in terms of the most supportive, loyal group of people that the people who travel with the University of Miami football team are pretty strong. So I put that in the conversation, but I don't know what else I'd choose in terms of connection between customer and players that is bigger or more fervent than this one. And they're hurt and insulted by the way that their players didn't acknowledge their support.
So I used to go to the games. I was an inaugural season ticket holder, Dan. And directly to my right in the Lockhart Stadium was the supporters section. And I remember the first game that I went, it's like, hold on, so like when the other team scores, they don't even stop. They keep dancing and singing and chanting and celebrating. Like that's incredible effort they put into this. Like those people, it's nonstop, man. And I don't know, when you describe it the way that you're describing it right now, it doesn't seem unreasonable for them to just want to be acknowledged.
Well, this is the thing, though, that is always happening here in sports as the athlete gets wealthier and wealthier and more disconnected from the people paying the salaries. They're not paying the salaries anymore. Television is. And so in the corrosiveness of where money gets involved and your athletes become too big, many times they don't make the fans feel the way that the paying customer wants to feel. It is an effort to do what it is that they're doing, and not just because the ticket prices are high. Just getting to their games for 2 seasons has been hard, and furthermore, what they do during games looks exhausting.
Yep. It is exhausting, and a lot of work goes into it. I would say, Dan, you're right. In most major sports, the TV contracts pay for everything. In MLS, the gate is still a huge part of their business plan. And it's one of the things that actually goes right for MLS. Their fan base may be small. The TV numbers aren't great. That's because everybody who cares about this sport in America goes to these games. And if you're a supporter, I've played soccer in Doral one time, and there was a staging area for the supporters that were just there practicing. They would have a barbecue, and they would practice all their chants. I sat in the supporters section one time in Seattle, and I was held accountable. I didn't know that they would hand out pamphlets of what the chants are. If you're in that section, your duty, you are required to be singing. You are required to be active at all times. Our supporters section does a great job, one of MLS's best. What they wanted was, after they got embarrassed by their rivals, Orlando City, the players just walked off the field. Trying time for Inter Miami, club in transition. It was ugly. And they didn't come over and acknowledge the fans. And you acknowledge the fans in soccer culture. You acknowledge the supporters.
That was the only time they did it? It just happened once?
Just happened once, apparently. Now I understand why most mainstream fans are like, well, stop having this main character syndrome. So what? They got their brains bashed in by their rival. They were embarrassed. They weren't in the mood to, give you the cursory wave and point to the crest. But what Inter Miami supporters did in protest this week was, if you've ever seen their supporter section, there's instruments, there's drums, there's trumpets, there's a whole bunch of fanfare. They decided to leave all that stuff at home and silent protest so you could actually feel their presence and their protests being removed from the game because it's such a festive thing. So we actually have this eerie video of their supporter section. You can go ahead and play it while I talk. That sounds... The ambient hum, that is not a lively soccer.
Sounds like a Marlins game.
Yeah, it's normal.
It normally sounds like the World Baseball Classic. It's not just loud.
10.
It's super loud.
And this is right before kickoff.
And Messi seemed a little bothered by this. It took 85 minutes for the protests to stop, and what it took was Rodrigo de Paul went over during a corner kick, acknowledged the supporters, pointed to his crest, tried to pump them up, and the fans responded to that, and then they started singing individual players' names. It seemed as though Messi was out on the entire thing. After the game, a couple of players, Noah Allen once again trotted out there, went over and acknowledged the players, but noticeably missing was Messi and Suarez.
I wish I knew how Messi felt about it.
It seems clear from the Miami Herald, one section of La Familia, they chanted in Spanish, "Players, salute your fans, acknowledge your people who ask nothing else of you." And Messi stood at midfield with his hands on his hips. He was listening, but it seemed like he was looking on disapprovingly. He seemed to scold them with a finger wag. It seemed like he was showing
Matumbo.
displeasure at their protest. And this is an interesting conflict to have. That player admonishing that support group is something that is not normal. As rabid and weird as soccer can get overseas, and the relationships with the players are weird and the fans feel entitled to certain things, this is a small ask. And the Southern Legion supporter group that is, I guess, led by J.C. Avila said, quote, "The players have shown no respect to La Familia, have not come to our stands after the games when we have guys come in as early as 11 a.m. to set up our tailgate and set up our flags inside the stadium. Not to mention we sing our hearts out for 90-plus minutes. The only player that came to say hi was Noah Allen, and everyone else goes straight to the locker room. Not cool." And I imagine most people listening to this, if their fandom was not acknowledged, they'd be hurt, but they also might think that this is baby behavior from the fan base, that the fan base isn't entitled.
Well, because this is a soccer thing. Right?
It is a soccer thing. This is the soccer players in the biggest leagues in the world tip their cap to their supporters, and it is the smallest gesture you can make that's being asked for there for 90 minutes of singing. But what he's saying, it's part of their identity. This group of people singing and showing up at 11 a.m. to tailgate with flags, like, winning matters to them the way it matters to the players. Like, they care more deeply than the average person, than the average fan. They're not there for what many Miamians are always there for, the spectacle. They're there after all the celebrities have left, after everything that happened as soon as Messi got here, where you had celebrities from all over flying in to just see Messi. What's left now is a champion and just the soccer and their support. I understand why they're hurt by it. I also understand why it is that Messi's better off not doing anything than doing what he did.
I think it comes off even more disrespectful when it's the big players, because they're kind of looking down on you. Like, that's not something that they would do over in Europe. And I think that's where a lot of these feelings, and Dan's right, like, for many of those supporters, their primary social circle is supporting the club. That's where it's a year-round thing for them. And part of the deal is you sing your heart out and the players appreciate you through thick and thin. And for them to not go over there, I understand, as ridiculous as it may sound to fans of other more transactional sports.
No, this is a soccer thing.
It's a bigger thing, yeah.
Okay, so I still have a couple questions. I'm going to ask again. Like, I know I asked you and Mike, and you said this just happened the last game, the game against Orlando City, which was very embarrassing. But the quote you just read there, Dan, from the guy who's, the head of that supporter group, said it plural, said it's been games that this has happened. I think that's an important distinction. I don't know which one it is. Like, if it's just the last game and the players were upset because it was embarrassing, okay, but he seems to think that it's been multiple games that this is happening. So I'd like to know that. I don't know if we can find that out.
I'm more interested, actually, in the disconnect between fans and someone of Messi's level. We were talking last week about the either pettiness or simple humanity in LeBron James being bothered, reportedly, that after he had done so many things for the Lakers, J.J. Redick was celebrated after they won a playoff series against Houston, and he wasn't celebrated. I know many people listening to this will say that's childish, that's petty. It just seems superhuman to me as well. Do you think that Messi feels underappreciated in any way when he feels like he has been the most important thing in that sport? His contract has been both excessive and worth every penny, given what it is that he has delivered. Do you think that he's gotten so much support for so long that he feels totally comfortable standing at midfield and admonishing his customers from on high? Do you feel like it is possible that Messi feels like he's not appreciated enough.
I mean this in the most respectful way. I don't know what thoughts he has. He's about football, and that's what Messi does.
But he was comfortable standing in midfield and
bothered
admonishing the customers. Unless we're reading the situation wrong, because he's not. Zaz is right when he complains. We don't, and you're right when you complain. We don't know what this guy's thinking because he doesn't actually tell us what he's thinking.
I feel like it's not underappreciated. I think he looks at, I've given you guys a lot here, and you better cut me a little slack. Like this, after one game of not coming over you, that's what you're doing? I've never seen a team do this anywhere. I've given you a lot here. Not underappreciated, but just I've given you a lot.
If he feels comfortable enough to admonish them, he clearly doesn't think he's in the wrong. He thinks they're in the wrong for not supporting him all the time with their song. What a ridiculous sentence.
I mean, they sing his name constantly. If I were to psychoanalyze what's happening there, the hand wave kind of seems like, what are we doing? This is MLS. We're winning our first game at home. I just bossed this game again. I'm Messi.
One
I'm
of
pretty
the
awesome.
sickest passes I've ever seen.
This is pretty sweet, right? Like we're doing all right over here. Let's settle down. You're not the main character here. And that's where, if I'm an Inter Miami supporter, I'm like, look, I've been here before you. I'll be here after you. I commit like year round to this thing. The least you can do is just stroll over here, give me a little clap and a little point to the crest, and be on your way. When that fan mentioned that it's been several matches, it's probably been several matches for certain key players, and that's what they're seizing on, because what we saw in this protest against Portland really stemmed just from the Orlando City game, which had a lot of issues with it, and that was just one of those things.
I want to hear more about them serenading him in song.
The part that I want to laugh at a little bit with you guys is the singular absurdity in, I'm used to guys feuding with their fan bases because their fan bases are booing. I'm used to guys feuding with their fan bases because their fan bases don't show up. I'm not used to the people sitting there paying and they're just silent. They're not actually, all they did was take away their song. Like, they're not saying bad things. They're not booing you. They're not being actually disrespectful. They just removed their song. And Zaz is calling it a protest. As far as protests go, I can't think of a limper one than I'm not going to sing for you anymore.
I wonder how many other supporters were just like, this is nice. We should do this more often.
Yeah. I actually see it the other way around.
Fine.
I imagine it being at some point, the supporters, they turn like, can we start yet?
Like one guy singing, it's like, oh, hey!
They probably feel like they were hurting the team while they were actually just hurting themselves. They left the experience feeling less full even after a victory because they weren't allowed to serenade their favorite
Somebody
players.
had to, who doesn't follow the news, of like, hey, you want to go to this game on Saturday? Let's check out the supporters section. I heard it's really fun. And you just like have no idea any of the drama, and you walk in there, you're like, quiet. I don't know what's going on today.
It's weird because you look at the surface of it all. This was their first home win. It didn't kind of need you, right? Like, it worked out fine for the players there. And they capitulated immediately once Rodrigo de Paul went over there and gave them the slightest gesture.
That's all it's required, really. It's just
all they want, for the people confused here, all they want is to look in their direction, give the little above the head golf
Seems
clap.
easy.
That's all they're looking for here.
a point.
A wave.
Just point.
Yeah, you guys, appreciate you for singing. And when you explain it that way, then you go back on the fan side, and it's not much.
Right.
It is very easy and expected.
And apparently it's a soccer thing.
It is in all levels of soccer.
See it after every game.
Now, I know Inter Miami's fan base, especially their most ardent supporters that belong to supporter sections, it's more of like a South American feel. So it's like even more insulting because it's part of legitimately their culture.
I want to entertain what Chris Cody is saying, though, because I know a lot of people who are going to their first Inter Miami games now that it's over here. And so there are people having their first experience. And so when you tell them, look, you're not going to believe what happens in this supporter section. Have you seen the World Baseball Classic? Like, this is got flavor. It's got noise. You're not going to understand the languages. They're allowing trumpets and all sorts of musical instruments into the stadium that are weapons in other stadiums that aren't even allowed in. You're not going to believe how crazy this is. And then you get there, and there's just a silent protest, and no one there is speaking English to explain it to your English friends, your English-speaking friends, that they're singing songs in Spanish. And now it's just not only not song, It is protested indifference meant to be quiet on purpose. Quieter than they would normally be by miles, but quieter than any group of people would be, even if they were at church.
Like somebody had to miss the memo and came like walking into the section with a flag, and they're like, "Yo, check your email."
You're embarrassing us.
Like,
it was a
and then
WhatsApp.
He has to like awkwardly put down this
definitely.
gigantic flag like below his feet. Like, what am I supposed to like walking back out to his car? Like, I brought it in. I didn't see the Slack.
You
I
insulted
don't
La
think the supporters
Familia.
have Slack.
I don't think they have a Slack channel. My bad.
Look, this one's easy for us to actually be on the right side of sports fandom. I just a little bit more dedication to those that come out there, because I've traveled the world. I've seen a lot of supporter sections. I've sat in several, especially in MLS, and this is one of the best supporter sections, certainly in this country when it comes to soccer, and they deserve the absolute best.
Let's think about, though, what it is that we're talking about here, okay? And I just want you guys to imagine Messi having breakfast with his family and being like, really? They want me to point at them. I've got to point at them, or they're going to withhold their song. Did you see the pass I just made? Here, you want to hear Taylor Twellman? I'm 38 years old. I'm running around near the Miami airport. I'm the best soccer player in the world, and I'm playing in this league against plumbers, and I'm sitting here, and there are too many lights near the airport here. I'm scared of planes flying overhead, and this is the goal that I provide for you, the excitement. Who can't
player.
see that, he's dribbling among 6 players there and passing the ball. They're all afraid to trip him in the penalty box, so they're being a little too careful.
I mean, they're right on him. He's doing this in a phone booth. He took on, in that one clip, he took on 5 defenders, and in one moment in the box, he took on 3 with the ball glued to his foot. That is just insane skill.
Just wave to supporters.
Yeah, just do that. And you can knock the talent that he's doing this against. Like, that is not enough space for a human to go through traffic with a soccer ball attached to their foot and make something out of it. That is skill that'll translate against elite clubs.
I understand that we're fans, but do you guys not think that the fans listening to this are like, come on, La Familia, like, really? You want a finger? You're going to protest and withhold your song because he doesn't give you a finger point after the game? Like, I'm a fan. We're fans. We love these things that make us feel things and take us away from our daily lives. But as far as protests go, we can agree there has rarely been a protest for something smaller and less important that would cost Messi or any of them. It couldn't cost them any less than the simple acknowledgement of, thank you for your support. I understand why they're insulted by it, but to withhold their song, I imagine many people are listening to this and being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like kind of dorky. It's like, guys, we did all this work. We went to Tropical Park and we sat in the bands and we did all this stuff and we sang songs, like, and you guys didn't even point at us. Like, okay, dude, like, you paid the tickets, you saw the game. What else do you want?
They don't stop for the whole game.
Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares?
Who cares?
Try singing for 10 minutes straight.
Well, you
now
say
do it 90.
No, but when you say who cares, like, they want their care acknowledged. Who cares? They care more than any fan base I've ever seen in South Florida. Like, I can absolutely feel like you guys aren't coming up with rebuttal. That fan base cares about what it's watching at least as much as any fan base I have ever seen, traveling with the team and getting their identity from this. Who cares? They care is the answer, but no one cares the way they do. Like, no one listening to this cares the way they do. Only they listening to this would say, yes, my feelings are being both heard and hurt, and I want them acknowledged by the greatest player in the world because I feel like I'm helping produce that result.
When I go to a Canes game, am I upset if they don't walk over to my section and do the alma mater? No, I'm the hell out of there.
They acknowledge you before the game. They take that little kneel in the end zone, and they
Is that for
the
me
fans.
or is that for somebody else?
It's a part of the tradition. And in this sport, the tradition is you show the slightest bit of respect to your supporters that are there with you throughout the entire journey. When you're getting your brains bashed in by Orlando City, embarrassing yourself at home, they're still there singing and chanting. So the least you can do is just give me a cursory wave.
And the Canes players do that even after what it looks like against Bethune-Cookman at noon.
They have to do the alma mater after
They always
the game
do it,
too. Yeah.
As far as protests go in the apocalyptic America that we presently live in, the fact that what we're talking about here is the conflict between, oh, you're going to withhold your point, then I'm going to withhold my song.
It's pretty petty on both sides.
Chris Cody and Roy revealed this to me. And Roy, I don't know the context of what it is that you guys were talking about that revealed this about Chris Cody.
Yeah, Chris asked me what the sound from the first down for the Dolphins games were. And I said
it's just a noise I've made throughout my entire life. It's just like one, like I just did it. Hoo-wah!
Yeah.
And to me, that's another Miami Dolphins first down.
Well, let's find out. Let's find out if your dad knows, because he's not a real moviegoer. Instead of impersonating the sound, do you have the actual sound? Greg Cody, do you know who's making this sound?
Hoo-ah! I do.
Clark Gable.
Come on.
It's the famous actor.
Rock Hudson.
Oh, this is great. He doesn't know it.
No, it's the famous actor. And I got to pin his name down because I don't think
you should be able to say this immediately.
I don't think it's Robert De Niro.
No.
But I think it's
in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood. Give me a second. Robert De Niro.
Humphrey
Bogart. Al Pacino.
Hey, there you go.
If someone said that in his headphones, you're fired.
Now,
no,
what movie?
Nobody said
what
that.
Movie?
It's APEC. What movie?
Streetcar Named Desire.
You ain't you. No. You're not man enough to know the truth. Something like
no.
That's a few good men, and that's a few good men.
Good answer. Good answer.
You're not man enough to know the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Don't know.
It's a different movie. Pacino was not in it.
You're not man enough to know the truth.
That was originally a line. Nicholson ad-libbed.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Was Pacino in A Few Good Men? Was a blind Pacino?
Okay, who did he say? Who said in what movie?
Let's keep going. Let's see how long it takes you to get.
Play it again.
I think did he win an Oscar? I think he won an Oscar for this.
Yes.
Bull Durham.
No.
Good answer.
Put it on the poll. Put it on the poll.
No. It's a bull movie.
Just naming De Niro movies.
Red Bull. I don't know.
Put it on the poll. Was a blind Pacino in Bull Durham?
Chicago Bull.
And put it on the poll as well. Was a blind Pacino in Raging Bull? First of all, it's a really random thing to have stick in Dolphins.
I say it all the time.
No, but it's been for 30 years. That movie's 30 years.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Let's continue to just play occasionally for no particular reason. Troy Aikman, who works and is paid by the Dolphins and by ESPN, talking about how he has no conflict.
I don't feel there's a conflict, but I will say I'm pulling for the Dolphins.
That's top comedy right there. Also, top comedy is we spend all this time talking about James Harden. James Harden in a Game 7 goes 2 for 10, goes 0 for 6 from 3. He's plus 31 in the game, and that is as much of a demolishing as you will ever see by the road team in a Game 7. Game 7s are won by the home team, the better seed, about 80% of the time, Zaz. But basketball has officially changed, and I got a little bit left behind as recently as last week when I was saying, oh, it's going to be like it always is, some form of 1-2 in the West and some form of 1-3 in the East. And now what you have instead, for the 6th time in 7 years, you have a conference final in basketball, Zaz, our most predictable sport, that doesn't have a 1 or a 2. I'm going to say that again because Everything has changed with this sport, with the threes, with the absence of close games. The playoffs are not giving us buzzer beaters. They are not giving – basketball's playoffs are not giving us close, interesting games. This Game 7 doesn't have a whole lot of precedent. I know a few years ago the team of Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton lost to Dallas at home in a Game 7, but – I'm going to give the stat again. 6 of the last 7 years, one of the conference finals isn't featuring a 1 or a 2. That's not normal for this sport, and it's a place the sport has changed. And I'm going to say changed for the better because it makes it less predictable, makes the regular season less relevant than it's ever been. But basically the flaw in Detroit is the flaw that you cannot have, which is they couldn't shoot. Their true shooting efficiency is so bad that if you're not in the top third in the league, you're not going to get further in the playoffs. That was still stunning to me, though, to see a Game 7 lost at home that way. And while we spend a lot of time talking about James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, Duren just had as bad a postseason as I've ever seen an all-star have. Like, I cannot remember in my lifetime. I went and looked it up. Not since Elgin Baylor has a player gone from averaging what he did in the regular season to averaging 9 points less. When you look at what it is, Duren had during the regular season, he had 6 games where he scored 10 or fewer points. He had 7 of those in the playoffs. Like, I don't understand why it is that we're focusing on all the other all-stars and this guy's going to skate. He's not going to skate regionally. In Detroit, they're going to know it. But nationally, and he's in a contract year, correct?
Yep.
Like, that is an uncommon disaster. I want to ask you guys, maybe you guys can offer me something here that I don't get. The last couple of years, okay, I have seen that the New York Knicks have, against Cleveland and Toronto, the way they match up is Cleveland and Toronto have no shot against the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson does something to Mobley and Allen that nobody else in the league can do to Mobley and Allen. And Mobley and Allen just did that to Duren. Like that, the reason he looked like that is because those guys are big and they're physical and they play very well defensively, and they ended up making him an all-star. I'm going to say it again. In my lifetime, there has never been an all-star drop-off like that in basketball, and he's going to skate. Nobody's going to end up talking about that today. They're going to end up talking about all the other things, but they're not going to talk about one of the all-stars for Detroit didn't show up in a historic fashion.
Okay, so let's preface everything and anything I say now moving forward when it comes to the NBA's. I don't know shit, all right, because I've been wrong about everything with this playoff. I can't even pick a single game, all right? I thought that the Pistons would win Game 7. I thought the Cavs would win Game 6. I thought the Wolves would win Game 6. I didn't have the Lakers winning a single game this postseason. I don't know shit, all right? All right, now that we got that out
What's
of the
your
way.
prediction for tonight? Big one tonight.
Oh, yeah, let's all fade Zaz.
I mean, I think the Spurs are going to win the series.
Oh, good. Okay, thank God.
So you got the Spurs tonight.
I think the Spurs are going to win the whole thing.
So you got the Spurs tonight.
I mean, do I have them tonight? I don't know. I haven't won the series.
Make a decision, man.
I did. I have them winning the championship.
No, you didn't. Okay, you made up the
There's no
17
bigger
things. How about tonight?
decision than who's going to win the championship.
Tonight.
Give me some time to think about it. Okay. Now, I will say, when it comes to Cleveland, like, they're at their best when their big guys play well. Allen and Mobley. We can talk all we want about Mitchell, and Mitchell was phenomenal last night. Boy, James Harden, that narrative continues. He stunk last night. My God. Can you imagine if they lose that game? Harden's 2 for 10 and 0 for 6 from 3. Oh, he
was
stunk.
plus 31.
Look, the team was up by 40 the whole game.
His much maligned Game 7 averages
He stunk.
went down.
It's crazy. He's terrible. He's terrible. But Cleveland is at their best when their big guys play well. They just don't do it enough. And their big guys were fantastic last night. The Duren thing, I don't even know what Detroit does there. He is going to be a free agent, and you'd have to assume his best regular season year of his career, he was an all-star. He's the second best player on the team, presumably. You would assume he's going to ask for a max contract? Well, when you're Detroit and you're a young, growing team, you now have to be really careful where you're spending your money next to Cade Cunningham, and you're going to do it by giving that guy who was so bad in the playoffs $40+ million a year. I don't know what you do if you're Detroit. I really don't.
Not only that, you have Asor Thompson's new contract. He can't play offense. That
yeah,
dude
but
is,
he's.
I get
like
you.
Heard,
but you're going to pay him a ton of money to play one side of the game?
I know, but you heard Kenny Atkinson's comments after the game. Like, their whole strategy was have the ball on the side of the floor where Asar Thompson is not.
And then what they say on offense?
No, but that was great. Though when Kenny Atkinson is asked, what adjustments did you make? And he's like, tactically, what we did is wherever Thompson is, throw the ball to the other side.
It's a big deal.
They didn't guard him.
I understand.
They did no. They did not guard him. I don't think you understand because you're saying I understand.
Said I understand.
You don't get it. Obviously, they're Tony Allen him. He's wearing Timberland boots out there.
Their front office, Dan, kind of skating a little bit. And to be fair, I haven't sampled Pistons fans. I'm sure it's probably a conversation point for them. But this is exactly the kind of young, superstar-driven team that needed a veteran acquisition at the deadline. Some dude to – like the James Harden acquisition that Cleveland made – Detroit should have looked at that. Like a guy like Norm Powell could have helped them a lot. They should have made a move.
You know what would have helped them? Malik Beasley. Pablo killed him, though. So.
Well, but Duncan Robinson is what they tried to replace that three-point shooting with, and you saw Tobias Harris didn't give them very much yesterday either. But how about this from Tommy Beer per NBA's tracking data? When Harden and Mitchell were defended by Thompson in the series, they were 6 for 33 and had more turnovers than field goals.
It's a big deal.
What is that worth, Tony? What's that worth?
Not a max deal.
Okay, but what's it worth? That team prides itself. The way they got to where they got was not shooting. The way they got to where they got is physical and defense. That team won 60 games this season, Tony. Did they win 60?
Yeah, there's a much better chance of him improving being able to hit a corner three than there is him being able to improve being a poor defender to maybe the best defender.
I'm going to give that stat again because Stan Van Gundy says he's far and away the best defender in the league. But Mitchell and Harden were 6 for 33. They shot 18% when he guarded them, and they had more turnovers than field goals made. They made all of 6 field goals. And Kenny Atkinson says after the game, that's the highest compliment you can give, right? Game 7, what was my tactical strategy? Just keep the ball away from wherever Thompson is.
Yeah.
Like that is why Kenny Atkinson is their coach. Kenny Atkinson has unlocked some things that never get unlocked in Cleveland unless LeBron James plays for them. But that team, you tell me, can you look up something for me, Jeremy? Because I think Jared Allen missed one of the series against the Knicks. I had to think that Knicks fans were rooting very hard for Cleveland yesterday because they have smoked Cleveland and Toronto the last 3 years. Over the run of Jalen Brunson, they just dominate those two good teams. Those are two good basketball teams. And it's because of what I'm telling you. Jared Allen and Mobley, for whatever the reason is, Mitchell Robinson does something to them that I don't totally understand because he does it to some people, but that front line is formidable against just about everyone else.
But it was believed that the key part in them acquiring James Harden was specifically to address the mismatch against New York. Because Harden does things, he can get to the line, get even Robinson in foul trouble. And I don't know what the sample is after they acquired James Harden. I believe they played once, and Cleveland won that game.
Tony, to your point, though, what is defense worth? The Knicks were built to combat the Celtics on the perimeter. Anunoby and Bridges are good perimeter defenders. And so I don't know how much James Harden is going to alter that, but you do understand that the Cleveland Cavalier philosophy in trading for James Harden is we need help to get out of a Game 7. So they went and got a notoriously bad Game 7 player who was notoriously bad in the game yesterday. And yet not since the 1940s have you seen a road team go and do that to a 1 seed in their building.
James Harden's last 5 Game 7s, 3 of 9 against Toronto, 2 of 8 against Denver, 3 of 11 against Boston, 5 of 17 against Milwaukee, 4 of 15 against OKC.
Harden was available in one of the 3 matchups that Cleveland had this year against New York. New York won the first 2 games without Harden for Cleveland. Cleveland won the 3rd game with Harden in the lineup.
But going back to last year, Cleveland actually dominated New York. Like since 23-24, the Knicks are just 4-6 against Cleveland, and last season they were winless against Cleveland. So the acquisition here, those first couple of games, what you're talking about is real. Like Mitchell Robinson was a huge X factor, but in their most recent matchup, Jared Allen had 19 and 10, and they won that game.
Yeah, but this New York team is completely different than what we've seen from them in the regular season. Like, they were just kind of plotting the regular season, like trying to figure everything out. Mike Brown's got everybody, offense, defensively, everybody's playing great basketball. Jalen Brunson's out of his mind. Cat has been incredible in the high post, being able to facilitate. Like, that's opened up their offense so much, and plus Mitchell Robinson just grabs every board he sees. So it's going to be a really good front line
I
matchup.
told you guys last week that the change that they made in the last game against Atlanta has made it so that Karl Anthony Towns goes from 1 assist every 36 minutes to 8 assists every 36 minutes because they're playing through him. The thing I was asking you, though, Jeremy, I wasn't asking about Harden. I was asking if Jared Allen missed their playoff series when the Knicks rolled through Cleveland, because Jared Allen's a hugely important player for them, and I don't remember whether or not he was healthy or not. I do remember being confused by how stifled Mobley was by Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, Dan's right to bring up the postseason series there, because while the regular season numbers don't really play to this narrative, the narrative exists because of what happened in that postseason series in 2023.
And I don't know if Jared Allen was actually healthy for that series. He might have played some, but I can't remember. I was wondering, too, by the way, and this is off point. I don't know if you guys read the Steve Kerr article that Wright Thompson did a deep dive on Steve Kerr and why it is that he's returning to the Warriors.
Money.
But one of the things that Steve Kerr did all of last season that no one noticed is that he was inserting Taylor Swift lyrics in every press conference that he was doing. And I don't think that if Jeremy had been covering the Warriors that he would have been able to do that with it being able to escape.
Never would have gotten away with it.
Everyone's attention.
I can't believe the lack of journalistic integrity. Taylor Swift is essentially the new Springsteen for white sports reporters. It's unbelievable that this generation's white sports reporters did not figure this out around Steve Kerr. How could this possibly happen? And All Too Well, of all songs, Dan, the number one song in her catalog, I can't believe he got away with this. It's ridiculous.
Shake it off?
Are you telling me to shake it off?
He's saying that Taylor Swift is Bruce Springsteen for the modern-day sports writer. That's in no way true.
Cannot be true.
Put it on the poll.
That's a disgrace.
You
if
guys,
it is.
other white guys have to have some other guy, right? It can't be that.
Well, as I mentioned, Colbert is having his final show on Thursday. It bums me out for a number of different reasons. He's got a hell of a guest list, obviously, all week, and Bruce Springsteen is going to perform at some point. But what I have noticed over the last couple of years with Colbert, because he's over 60, is there are an awful lot of dad jokes in everything that he's doing. And so Springsteen is brought out by the old people to celebrate our oldness, and no one likes Springsteen more than old sports writers. But this does not escape the attention of the reporters in Golden State if it's Springsteen. If he had been doing Springsteen lyrics, there's no way that he's able to do this. But in the article, one of the things that I found interesting, I remember we didn't talk at all last week about how prosecutors are indeed going to be able to get Tiger Woods' prescription history. But allegedly, it's going to be something that is not going to be able to be in the public's eyesight. Public records requests aren't going to be able to summon it. I don't know if that's going to be able to stay quiet. I would think attorney-client privilege would make it so that legally and ethically it should stay quietly, but I really don't know whether that's going to stay quiet once it gets into some hands. But I was telling you that Tiger Woods, through all of those back surgeries, must be in a great deal of pain. And the thing I took away from that Kerr article is I had no idea how much physical pain he's in. He's in physical pain all the time, the way Phil Jackson was in physical pain all the time because his back is all screwed up, and it causes an assortment of pain, including like pressure behind his eyes that causes migraines because he's always in physical pain. And he's had 3 back surgeries. Tiger Woods has had how many back surgeries? It's more than twice as many as that, and that's just on his back. So I assume that whatever prescription problem that Tiger Woods is dealing with, and I've read that he is doing his his rehab in another country in order for it to have privacy. He's not doing whatever is rehab here in terms of attending to his problem. But I would assume that the amount of pain that Tiger Woods is in is the reason that he's having trouble with prescription medication. I don't think it's an unreasonable leap to make, given that you're talking about that many back surgeries. I think it's
7.
It's at least 7. Okay, thank you.
And on Steve Kerr, remember, he missed an entire season. Right? Like Luke Walton came in and stepped in and was a coach for the Golden State Warriors. Like, where was Steve Kerr? He was out. He couldn't coach.
I think all the time we underestimate pain. Steve Kerr having this kind of pain and flying around all over the place, he must really love Steph Curry in order to. You say it's money related, but Steve Kerr could have made $7 million broadcasting, and reportedly the deal that Steve Kerr was going to have meant that he didn't have to do any of the hot take stuff. Like he didn't. ESPN wasn't going to make him do all the shows.
That's the fun stuff. I mean, I see Kenny Smith's on First Take all the time. I'll bet that's the only thing he wanted to do when they moved inside over to ESPN.
Wilbon has like 14 layers on Get Up.
I have noticed that. He's been wearing 3 layers during the summer.
A zip up.
Yeah.
Studios are cold.
I have. That's true. Actually, that's a good point by Christopher. None colder than ours in order to keep me from sweating or making my sweat freeze anyway. There are a couple of people who have issues right now with a couple of ESPN people. We've got Shams has evidently pissed off the people at Prime because he announced the MVP yesterday. How are we feeling about SGA as a 2-time All-Star? He's going to be I'm sorry, 2-time MVP. He's going to be one of the most decorated players before the age of 30, and I don't think people regard him that way. Do I have this wrong? Like, I know he's great. He's obviously great. There's no such thing except maybe Steve Nash on 2-time MVP, who's not like all-time great, top 10 in all the categories that you would look at. But he's going to be an all-timer. He's already an all-timer. What SGA has on his resume already, Zaz, do you regard him the way that the trophies regard him?
Yes, I think so. Because not only is he putting up the numbers, but the team, at least for regular season wise, has been so far and away better than everyone else. It's not like he's putting up the numbers and it's like they're third in the conference. Like, the team is dominant. He doesn't even play fourth quarters. You look at the point differential; it's in the double digits each season. So, yeah, I think so. I think I do regard.
What did you think of this, though? Because Prime was upset that Shams broke the news before the NBA wanted it announced. They're playful with it. You've got Dirk and Steve Nash and Blake Griffin and Udonis here, and Taylor Rooks as well. Let's hear the sound.
For Dirk and Steve, you all both won MVPs, but I don't remember Shams spoiling it way back then.
I don't think he was around. He was a baby then.
Yeah, what are we doing, man? Like, it's Sunday, Shams. Go to brunch, you nerd. Come on.
Yeah. There are other things to do.
They're mad. Yeah, they're definitely mad. Like, that feels like that was them responding to. It feels like that was them responding to the management at Prime being angry, where they were supposed to announce last night the MVP, but they not even they got scooped. Like, I'm sure a lot of reporters knew what the end result was, and Shams decided, hey, I'm going to let everybody know.
Can we assume that it might have been a deal point in the broadcast rights? Like, and you get the MVP announcement.
I think so, yeah, because it's like, why does Prime get it? I absolutely think that would be the
where
case.
are you guys on this? Because Shams' job is not to do what Prime wants. I know Ariel Helwani pissed off Dana White and everybody in MMA when he announced the Brock Lesnar fight. They don't have any use for journalism, but Shams doesn't work for Prime, and Shams' allegiance has to be to the news. I want to get into another portion of this, though, because you have what is happening right now is a genuine war between the Blake Griffin attitude, where he says, go to brunch, you nerd. And here's Jaylen Brown now going after Stephen A. Smith, because you have a real disconnect right now between athletes and how they feel about the people covering them.
Stephen A's job, and it's Kendrick Perkins' job, and it's my job to talk to the media. It ain't your job to be a clown. It ain't. And this whole playing the game, this delusion that y'all got, that y'all running with, Y'all making it seem like I'm playing the game and I'm pulling the ladder down. Y'all ain't doing nothing but helping y'all motherfuckers selves. And I'm tired of that shit. Y'all not being the bread. And that's why people calling that shit out. And that's why I've came to that conclusion. And I'll tell Stephen A. and whoever else when they see me in person, I will let you know that it's Stephen A., Stephen B., Stephen C. directly to your face. So you don't even know. Like, it don't gotta be no, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
That's not all he had to say about this, and they've been going at it pretty good, and this evolution bothers me, and it's bothered me since Stephen A. Smith basically challenged Kevin Durant, threatened Kevin Durant on television. There has been an evolution here journalistically into entertainment that is a contaminant, and it's not the way that we're supposed to cover these people, but Stephen A. has become an institution that is as big and formidable and as famous as some of these athletes. So let's hear Jaylen Brown some more. He's got some more for Stephen A.
Tell this motherfucker retire, you know, because he's the face of clickbait media at the point, and maybe with his retirement we could spark a movement to get the rest of these motherfuckers out of here, or to also have some type of forget journalistic integrity, actual integrity, in order to hold themselves accountable to the bullshit takes they put out with no basis, no bias, no information, just narrative, just for the sake of just pushing a weak narrative, just purely out of that. I'll give it up. I'll pass streaming. I'll sign some streamers or some. You know what I mean? It ain't a big deal. Y'all ain't never heard from me before this. Think about it. I don't do no media, no podcasts. I don't do none of that. I barely post on social media. But the fact is that my obligation is to, as an athlete, I'm obligated to speak to the media. It's my job. Like, he thinks the media is his job, and so it's my job too. It's in my contract. If I do not speak to the media, then I will be fined. So when they use that comparison where it's my job, it's your job to play basketball, it's also my job to speak to the media.
Okay, I can actually report something. Can I report something here and now?
Is it a happen to know? Do you need the happen to know? Like, are you breaking news?
I am breaking news.
All right, let's hear it. I don't know, a breaking news sounder?
He happens to know?
Okay.
Great Scott, he happens to know. He happens to know. Gather everyone. Get the children. He happens to know. So wise.
Yeah, I'm reporting no matter what Jaylen Brown says, no matter what Jaylen Brown offers, Stephen A. is not retiring.
That's not a report.
That's a report.
That you've diluted the happens to know.
It's just too much money.
No, that's not wise.
That's a report.
That's unwise, and it's not news.
He's not retiring.
He's credible.
He's not doing it. That's the first thing. Now, okay, let me give a little context to what Jaylen Brown's doing. Jaylen Brown, like the crux of what Jaylen Brown is angry with Stephen A. Smith right now about is when Jaylen Brown came out on the Twitch and he was, saying really weird things about, this being his favorite season, and Stephen A. thought he was giving him like advice, and he told him, stop talking. And Jaylen Brown apparently has taken that to like a level of, no, I'm not going to just shut up and dribble. When Stephen A. was just saying, stop talking like this, stop saying these things. And so now Jaylen Brown is like, I'll stop talking when you retire. So I don't know. It's not really the context of what Stephen A. was saying, but here's also the thing. There's a lot of deflection from Jaylen Brown is what's going on here.
Very curious offseason. Jaylen Brown is there telling you he's acting different this offseason. He's doing all these streams. Jeremy mentioned that he's kind of acting like a wide receiver in the NFL that's unhappy.
Like Jaylen Brown is saying things. No one asked him these questions. He went on Twitch and he is offering up this information, these thoughts, these opinions. Jaylen Brown is saying things. He doesn't like the reaction that it's gotten, and now it's Stephen A. Smith's fault.
And the beautiful part about the wrestling of all this is I'm actually more interested to see what Stephen A. has to say now that the gauntlet has been laid down. Now what is Stephen A. going to say? Because you don't want to make an enemy out of him.
So the evolution of this, to me, is really interesting. And I don't know how and where the people listening to this side, because I and we came up in a generation where ESPN decided to give the journalists, the nerds, voices that mattered, and that became the norm. But the way that we use those voices are now different, and Stephen A., in order to stay ahead of everybody else, has to evolve the way things are said in order to stay ahead of everyone else that he's competing with. And that is a contaminant that makes the divide even larger than it's ever been before. The storytellers are there, or have always been there, to chronicle, to celebrate, to ask questions, and to critique. But there is no disputing that the critique has gotten rewarded for the more extreme that it becomes, the more cartoonish that it becomes. And I understand when Jaylen Brown is saying, never mind journalistic integrity, how about just integrity in general? It is clickbait stuff to criticize the athlete with such zeal that it's poisonous, and the athlete then feels the need to respond. Zaslow, it's not surprising to me that you say Jaylen Brown is the one acting weird. You have the bias of you want to be able to continue to not be called a nerd by these people. We spent the first hour talking about Messi acknowledging the song of the fan base, and what's happening right now is the journalist is being pushed to the fringes by the people at Prime who do not care about Shams' journalism, whatever it is. They do not care about what Shams is reporting and getting it first.
Dan, you mentioned Shams has a responsibility to the journalism, not to Prime. Can you counter that by saying he has a responsibility to his employer, who is a league partner, who, if Adam Silver wasn't a nothing, would probably be hearing from Adam Silver saying, hey, they don't crap on your deal. They don't take things from your deal. Why are you doing this?
No. Shams' responsibility is to his employer, to his paycheck, and they are paying him the way they're paying very few people in their industry, anywhere in the industry, to do specifically that. That is his job more than anything else. His job is not perspective. It's not context. It's not the light articles that he likes to write. His job is get the news first. That's what he's known for.
Adam Silver needs to pick up the call and
he said nothing. That's not going to happen.
He needs to complain to ESPN because you're a league partner. We're not going to take shots at other league partners right here. This was a deal point, and you just took some value from them.
Okay, but when I got in trouble with ESPN when Manfred was calling ESPN, you take that call, you listen, and then you hang up and you keep doing your job the way that you did it before.
And then you got fired.
Yeah, that is... Well, I didn't
Down
get
neutral.
fired.
It was neutral.
Neutral.
No, but it's just a funny example to cite. Like, yeah, well, we showed them. Manfred won.
Well,
I got fired.
Hold on a second. I'm going to make I agreed with that initially. I did not get fired by ESPN. If you think them giving us all of our intellectual property and all of our money is us getting fired, that's not fired. That's not the way most people get fired.
I got fired.
Right. They got you out of there.
They got me out of there after I lost the protection that could fight Silver, because partners aren't always partners that agree on everything. Partners are business partners that sometimes understand that you can be at odds on certain things. And so if you think that on my list of offenses at ESPN, the Manfred thing doesn't even rank in the top 10 in terms of
really?
Yeah,
you were that bad?
I should put together a list. We should put
the kids in cages.
Advanced auto parts, battery.
Yeah, I don't.
Be curious to see what Dan thinks the top 10 is.
The billboard.
Okay. Come up with your own top 10, and I'm going to come up with my top 10 to find out. Let's see who gets closer to the truth. We'll do it before the end of the show. Actually, we should do it as a top 5. You come up with your top 5, and I'll come up with my top 5. And absolutely, Manfred. Getting Dana White mad at me was a lot worse than getting Manfred mad at me, and that's not the reason that we were let go from ESPN either.
I think my biggest problem with what guys like Jaylen Brown are saying and complaining about is so many of these guys, they don't know what journalism is, and they definitely don't know what the media's responsibility is. And in this case, like Jaylen Brown keeps talking about this, in referring to Stephen A. Smith, that's not journalism. Stephen A. Smith stopped journalism a long time ago. First Take is not journalism.
He would not agree with that. He identifies first and foremost as a journalist.
Well, he is a journalist, but First Take is not journalism, okay? So Jaylen Brown thinks that what he sees on television is Stephen A. Smith doing journalism. No, it isn't. And then he lumps all of that together, and we need to change. We need to get back to this journalism. It'd be like if I was watching Jaylen Brown play a game of basketball, and I then say, wow, NBA players shouldn't be allowed to dribble with their left hand because that's terrible. Like, no, there are other really good players who can dribble with their left hand. There are really good journalists out there and really good journalism out there that is for you to absorb.
The problem with that, though, is that Stephen A. says he's a journalist, right? Like, because if he's saying...
But Jaylen Brown doesn't have a good understanding then of what journalism is.
He doesn't have to. It's not his job. The way that we present this stuff on television and the way that we talk about all of it, not one person in this room outside of Dan would say that they're a journalist. Like, Stephen A. is a former... Right, but, like, you're doing...
What am I doing?
You're not a journalist. You're not a journalist. And to be able to run with the hot takes that we do, it's a different thing than what journalism is. And the problem generally with the masses, with quote-unquote fake news media and all of these things, is we've spent so much time distorting what's a journalist and what's a media personality that people like Jaylen Brown, who's an intelligent guy, can't articulate the difference.
I disagree with you guys on a couple of fronts. First of all, I do think Jaylen Brown does understand what journalism is, and I do understand how he would view what Stephen A. Smith is doing and say that's not journalism. Because I would say much of what Stephen A. is now doing is not journalism, even though some of what he does is still journalism. But let's go back a step and let me ask you this question. Just because ESPN made it the norm, and the way that ESPN made it the norm is because they decided they wanted the credibility of newspapers in their facility. That's what they wanted. Why do sports have to have that? Because Dana White is saying, I don't want that in my sport. Get it out of my sport. I don't want it in here. Why does sports have to have that? I understand why we're arguing on its behalf. It's selfish and totally self-serving for us to argue that we should have a voice. But I totally understand why the player is saying, why do I need that here? What does that have to do with, like, come in here, report, and be some version of fair? Now, we will have different disagreements about what's too personal, what's over the line. We cannot argue that what First Take is presently doing is journalism just because a journalist is sitting there, any more than I can argue that what we do here daily is journalism just because I'm sitting here.
Oh, they're going to say because I'm sitting here.
It's been a long time since I did journalism, and I understand why these athletes would look at, hey, Shams, nerd, get out of here. Don't need the news 10 hours early. Look, man, I did something yesterday. I don't know if you guys have gotten used to this. I'm checking in with the Marlins-Rays game on Peacock at noon. I'm checking in with Game 7 on Prime. And please, don't lose sight of the fact that it is hard to do what Prime is presently doing, where Game 7 goes off without a hitch and it's normal. Like, they just got into this business. They're hosting a Game 7, and they're doing it exceptionally well. There aren't glitches. There's nothing there. And they don't need to do journalism. The people objecting to Shams there, where were the journalists on that screenshot when you saw Udonis, Steve Nash, Blake Griffin, Dirk, and Taylor Rooks? Where was the journalism? Taylor's the journalism, but that's how Taylor is the way that athletes would like the media to behave. Come in here, ask me questions, get along, don't say anything inflammatory, don't be too critical, celebrate us. Why does Prime have to do journalism? Where is the journalism on Prime? Where is it? I'm telling you, in the documentary sphere, that all of these big corporations are seeing less and less importance in doing things that are going to bother the masses because they're uncomfortable truths. They'd rather do antiseptic stuff than do the stuff that's a little dangerous because it's the truth. I happen to want the undistilled truth. I want it pure. But that's not what everybody wants, and I come from a different time.
But Dan, Prime doesn't do journalism, they do entertainment, which is why they have the ex-athletes, which is why they have Taylor Rooks, which is why they have those kind of personalities surrounding the game. You want journalism? Go somewhere else. Like, we're not going to break the hardcore X's and O's stories.
This is what we've talked about forever with ESPN, is they, like, laundered the reputation of journalists and then turned them all into entertainers. And so when you're watching television, and again, we've decided to merge what those two things are, there's still great journalism being done in written form in all sorts of different places. Hell, for that matter, what Pablo did to win a Pulitzer is so rare in audio reporting in the way that he's done it around sports. And there's a reason it's been such a sensation, because we don't see it that much where you can actually watch it or listen to it in the way that we are now. But we need to understand that television is about entertainment. CNN did the same thing, Dan. Like, they stopped doing journalism on air because they wanted to entertain and make money.
I'd like that time to live forever. It's dead. Like, it's not dying. It's dead. These streamers have no interest. None of them have any interest in doing journalism. And that's why I'm telling you, this war, the journalists have already lost it.
Raging
Put it
Bull.
on the poll.
No! It's a bull movie.
Just naming De Niro movies.
Red Bull. I don't know.
Put it on the poll. Was a blind Pacino in Bull Durham?
Chicago Bull.
And put it on the poll as well. Was a blind Pacino in Raging Bull? First of all, it's a really random thing to have stick in Dolphins.
I say it all the time.
No, but it's been for 30 years. That movie's 30 years old. I don't want to tell him what the movie is. Keep guessing, Greg. Keep trying to guess what the Al Pacino movie. How many Oscars has Pacino won? Because he
A Few Good Men.
You already guessed that, and we already told you that it's not A Few Good Men.
Okay.
And you're not man enough to handle the truth.
Right. Okay.
Classic line.
It's got a military theme to it. I just can't come up with a
It's
name.
not a military theme, but I think he's a former military guy.
Okay,
He was a colonel.
There you go. Colonel Sanders. I don't know. I'm never going to get it. I don't know movies.
Wow, it's his only Academy Award.
The
Greg doesn't know
Scent
movies.
of a
Woman. See? I told you I was going to get it.
Your son had no idea where that sound
Where I
was
get it
from.
from.
This is two generations of idiot. Pop
No.
culture idiot.
I knew it was Al Pacino.
Greg, you cannot listen
said
to
De
what you
Niro.
just did for the last 4 minutes and say that that is some sort of expertise that you're bragging about.
First of all, I speak for moviegoers in general. Al Pacino and De Niro are always interchangeable. They're always mistaken for each other. They're the same person.
De Niro could not have been the devil.
They've won the same awards. They're like the same people.
They were only in one scene together, like in their movie careers.
I know, but they're parallel lives. And you know it.
Put it on the poll. Do you often confuse De Niro and Pacino, and you know it? At Le
And you
Batard
know it.
Show.
You're going to have to wait for that one.
Exactly.
That was staggering. Even by the standards of the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody, where your son Michael asks you movie questions and you flail and fail and get them all wrong. Even by those standards, that was an amazing amount of ignorance.
Hey, the Hockey Show has live streams throughout the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Please join us as we get to enjoy all the teams that are left here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dave, are you ready?
I am thrilled. I'm exhilarated. I'm excited. I'm psyched. I'm ready.
What about you, Rosie?
I can't wait to pick my team. Woohoo!
It's the second round. You're
No.
picking a team.
I'm picking a team now.
Ethan,
Bye-bye.
Ethan, what about you?
Always fired up to watch some playoff puck, Roy.
All right, the Hockey Show. We're doing live streams of the Stanley Cup playoffs throughout the end of the playoffs. Please join us.
There are any number of things as that I can shake my fist at and be an old man shouting at clouds on, and I've been that here as it regards the combat sports being sort of eaten up by a need for fame instead of merit, okay? The headliner on that Netflix fight, I don't get to decide this. The Netflix fight, all of that is a huge success, and what Jake Paul has created over my objections leaves me behind because it's about fame right now, not about talent. That is not what should have headlined your Netflix fight, but the reason it's headlining your Netflix fight is just because of the novelty of two past their prime fighters who happen to be pioneers in women's fighting, which Jake Paul has done a great deal for, more than most. Jake Paul has been a monster success as a promoter. I'm assuming that his fighting career is done. He's not going to do any better than getting a bunch of people watch Anthony Joshua break his jaw.
He said on the post show, or maybe it was late in the show, he said that he's been cleared. Like, he's planning on fighting again.
Oh, I just assume, though, that there's nothing that he can do that will top that there's no gate attraction. However creative he is, Carano versus Rousey is creative. It's just not a good fight. It's a ridiculous fight to have, but what matters now is fame. It's why McGregor's coming back. McGregor's about to be back, and he's fighting an old person fight.
No, he's not. He's not fighting an old person fight, Dan. Showing your ass right now. He's fighting Max Holloway, one of the greatest to ever do it. What are
also
we talking
an old
about?
guy who's
old
now-
guy? Old guy? What are you talking about, old guy?
Did you see how Dana White announced
That was the best part.
McGregor return on Saturday night? Dana White dropped the official Conor McGregor announcement during Francis Ngannou's walkout.
Prime pettiness from Dana.
Come on, man. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Ngannou really showed Dana White the value of the individual.
He's awesome.
It's an interesting tension. I mean, that guy's awesome. His story's awesome, and what he did as a fighter in terms of showing everybody the unfairness of how it is that Dana White locks up his fighters and doesn't actually pay them what they're worth.
You see, he gave his fight bonus to his opponent, $100,000.
He almost killed the man.
That's no joke for someone who stopped UFC because they don't pay enough. He just gave his opponent $100,000.
So I want, both things can be true, right? I can not like much of what Jake Paul represents and also salute him for having done what Oscar De La Hoya has done in terms of turning a fighting career into a promotions career, because he absolutely knows how to tailor content for young people in a way that I find bothersome as someone who wants to appreciate the merit of two people get into a cage and it's just them and the bravery of that, of being embarrassed. You don't have teammates. You don't have help. You're just there with your stamina, your courage, your exhaustion, your fear, and you risk being embarrassed the way that Gina Carano was embarrassed after she's lost 100 pounds to get to that point. She revealed that before the fight. I was not aware that she was pre-diabetic and that she lost 100 pounds in order to just even get into that fight. But where are you guys on these fights that are basically just get them in the circus tent? We're going to change boxing. It can't be about just merit anymore. It has to be about fame, entertainment, and other things.
So I had an interesting experience watching the fights on Saturday night, and I'd be interested for Tony to confirm my suspicion here. So I watched the whole fights Saturday night, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the card. I watched all 5-6 fights.
So you can't do 5 hours standing next to the cage, but you can do 5 hours sitting watching on television.
Totally. Well, I also had on the small
like 3
TV in the
hours.
Zaslow Mansion family room, I had Canadiens and Sabres, which was a real disappointment that Montreal couldn't wrap that thing up. Hopefully they do tonight on the road, Buffalo, Game 7. That's neither here nor there.
Roy, why are you waving a hand at him?
No, because the Sabres are going to win Game 7 tonight.
Okay, that's fine, but I could still root for the team I want to root for. Why are you objecting to that?
Because you're wrong.
Why
Again.
does he?
It hasn't
think that
happened
he's-
yet. How am I wrong?
But how is he wrong? He's not wrong yet.
He's not wrong yet, but I believe the Sabres are going to end up winning this game.
Okay, see,
Especially
there you
if
go.
they
It's a
stay
belief.
disciplined.
It's a belief.
But everyone's
You
rooting
don't
for
know.
Buffalo.
You don't
You're wrong
know.
here.
I think
You're wrong.
Montreal wins too, Zaz.
Thanks,
I will follow
Mike.
you out there on
Thanks,
that
man.
island. They've been
you
very
do that,
resilient after losses.
I mean, they were up 3-1. They lost 8-3. Dan, my God. At home, 8-3? Sheesh. So anyway, I could watch the game at home, and I enjoyed it. And you know what? The thing that drew me, of course, was Rousey and Carano, which you knew it was always going to end like that. I said on Friday, it's going to be quick. It's going to be a shit show. And yeah, Ronda Rousey looked great because she fought an actress. All right, she fought an actress who had not fought in 17 years, who was in her mid-40s. All right,
Who had to lose 100 pounds to get.
She
into
fought
the
an
cage.
Good for her, by the way.
She's great in Deadpool. All right, she fought an actress.
Love her.
So of course she looked good. But I enjoyed all of the fights because they all were finishes. And 4 of the 5 were finishes, or 5 of the 6 were finishes in the first round. And then I was reading, they ended in spectacular fashion, all of them. And then I was reading, oh, they probably booked the card that way so that there can be, you're not going to have this technical, show that real hardcore MMA fans are going to like. But for casuals who are watching on Netflix, maybe someone like me, you're going to get finishes.
Oh,
and this is going to be exciting.
Zaslow, I can make a convincing argument that ranges from the casuals to the diehards that wrestling has ruined UFC. Even the diehards will concede that aesthetically, it used to be. Tell me, Tony, you're the expert here, so walk me through this, because I think this is part of what it is that happened to Rousey and the overestimation of her as a fighter. The early days of UFC mixed martial arts, a striker could get in there and actually win because the other sciences made it so that the sport wasn't evolved enough and a striker could win. What happened to Rousey is at the primitive stages of women's mixed martial arts, she got dusted by largely a striker. Holly Holm can do other things, and now the sport has evolved to a place there as well with the women where you can't be just a striker. You have to be more than that, and I think wrestling has largely ruined the aesthetic pleasures that Zaz is looking for, where he wants somebody just knocked out.
100%. And early on, you could have strikers. Obviously, they had many different disciplines, as you can remember from the old UFC days. People would walk in with shoes and a gi, and everything was what's happening here? This guy's wearing knee pads and shoes.
In the octagon.
Hoist Gracie's out there in a gi, choking people with his gi. It's completely crazy.
It's awesome.
But in those early stages of the early aughts, the Chuck Liddell days, the BJ Penn days, the Forrest Griffin days, a striker could go in and could not only work through a wrestler, but win in convincing
Not anymore.
fashion.
I don't feel like a striker
Not
right
anymore.
now can do that anymore.
And that's the issue. Rogan, a lot of people that obviously know the science inside and out have said, if your base is wrestling, you have the hand over any other fighter because of the fact that wrestling and jiu-jitsu and ground game, has gotten so elite that if you're a striker and you can't get up, you're done. Because all they'll do is they'll sit on you and work you through different things, try to get you in a submission for 5 minutes, and it's over. So the meritocracy also of the MVP card is a thing that was in question for me, because what gave it away that they booked it when
Am I right about that?
Francis Ngannou fighting Felipe Lins? Is that when you realize, like, oh, wait a second, they want knockouts here?
That's what made that Strickland win so impressive.
Correct. Absolutely. Nullified the wrestling of Hamzat, and it was like, oh, Strickland's just going to outbox him. And
where
just hit him
are
with his
you
jab.
guys, though, on so Tony's disputing me on McGregor's return. I'm not interested in McGregor's
Biggest thing
return.
in the sport.
I know.
What? Really?
Well, but come on, guys. How long has it been since you won a fight? Like, what are you guys doing? It's annoying to me that you take these famous guys who have a loud mouth. How old is he? And when's the last time McGregor won a fight? Like, you guys
against Nate Diaz, right?
I mean,
was that his last
come
one?
on. Like, what are we doing? That's not merit. You just like the loudmouth who's famous because he's a star.
Alien Bert.
He's 37
He
years
beat Cowboy. He beat Cowboy Cerrone in UFC 246, and that was in 2020. So right before the pandemic kicked off.
What are
Then
you
he
guys
lost to Dustin
doing?
twice.
You guys want to see this? Like, you guys want to see McGregor fight just because he's a loudmouth?
Yeah, it's not that he's a loudmouth, Dan. He's the biggest star of the sport. He's bigger than the sport itself.
We had the shocking take last week. I like watching people fight for money. And if they're famous, that's cool too. Just go in there and duke it out.
I want to see how little he blinks at the press conference.
Yeah. And Dan, if you like the arts and the science of combat sports, fire up some Pro Fight League. There's plenty of places for you where you can watch someone strip down to their courage. But I like someone being stripped down to their courage that makes me feel something too. And I get the appeal. It's a new form of celebrity boxing. And as we mentioned on Friday, Jake Paul has done good things with the platform. With these cards and combat sports, particularly for women's combat sports, he's done a lot.
The issue is in the MMA side, boxing-wise, like he's doing a lot of great stuff because he has access to get the fighters. In MMA, you don't have access to get the fighters. You got to get has-beens. You got to get guys that are outcasts. You got to get girls that are outcasts because the best fighters are in the UFC. Like, that's the issue. They have a monopoly on the sport. So you're going to go get guys from PFL. Why do I care to watch that? I'll go watch the PFL if that's the case.
What do you make of, I never seen this before. You see Jake Paul's douche suite right outside the cage to watch the fights. They built him like a little suite right in front of the cage. Like,
we had our laughs on that Saturday.
It was the only one. He had a douche suite.
I can celebrate the good things that he's doing and object to the contamination at once. And I'm not lecturing the rest of you on what it is that you like. I'm not. But if you're good with Conor McGregor not winning a fight and it being the last one fight against Nate Diaz, who was also spent 6 years ago, like if you guys are good with making that the biggest star in the sport just because you're going to fuel him on nothing but memories, then you can watch that. I'm not interested in that.
I didn't make him the biggest star in the sport. He did. And people are going to watch. And if I want to watch a good fight, look, if for boxing, I could fire up the ESPN app on a Friday night and see a great card if I want. It's not doing anything to the business that's bad. Yeah, you can lament that this is what gets the most attention, and that says more about us, but it's not like the other, like, more gritty and real combat sports aren't still doing the thing.
But what all I'm saying to you is if you tell me that Conor McGregor is still the biggest star in the sport, it's not because of Conor McGregor or a celebration of Conor McGregor. It's an indictment of the sport.
Yes.
When the biggest star in the sport hasn't won a fight in 6 years.
John Jones, biggest star in the sport also. He was at the Netflix
He wins.
card.
He wins when he fights.
100%.
I'll tell you
But
what,
also
speaking of
comes with a lot
John
of
Jones,
baggage.
you saw what took place. Like, it was such a weird interaction with John Jones on that Netflix broadcast on Saturday night where Tyron Woodley is openly on air giving John Jones ideas on how to break and get out of his UFC contract. That was strange.
One of my favorite things going on in combat sports right now is the budding friendship between Cormier and Bones Jones.
That's awesome.
Have you been watching some of these things?
Yeah.
They're still trying to pretend like they hate one another, but yeah, they broke it because they realized they can make a lot of money doing this. It's this new, like, buddy content play that they're doing, and DC is just steaming at a dinner table breaking bread with John Jones. But, like, these are two big-time rivals. The hate between them, that translated. It's, for its era, the biggest, hottest rivalry in combat sports, and they decided together despite our feelings about one another, we can make a lot of money doing this if we play it the right way.
And the issue with John Jones is why you saw him and Francis Ngannou, and everybody's like, why don't you guys fight? It's like, well, if John were to walk into an octagon, he's got to fight for the UFC. So they've got to get through whatever.
But what if he walks into a hexagon?
That's the question. It was a hexagon. I still think they only
I like the hexagon, Dan. With only a hexagon instead of an octagon, I thought it was easier to see through the cage. I'm a fan of the hexagon.
The reason why they do it, it's also smaller, right? So if you have the octagon or the canvas being bigger, there's more room to escape. There's more room to kind of work through. If you're in a smaller place, it's like, all right, me and you got to stand and we got to bang. Like, that's what it is. Dan, we also had the Cuban Missile Crisis leading off. Almost killed Junior Dos Santos, poor guy.
Oh, my God, Junior Dos Santos, is he alive?
I hope so, because he gave him a 1-2-3 combo that, like, slept him on the second punch, and then he got him again with the hardest punch being at the end.
You can't come out to Rocky and then lose like that.
You can't lose like that. But the Cuban Missile Crisis, Robeli de España, Dan, I have a interpreter's conversation between him and the Ariel Helwani thing and the whole thing. I translated it for you. Would you like to watch it?
I would, but I'd like you to explain better than the Ariel Helwani whole thing.
So Ariel was the guy. Ariel was the guy who was doing the Joe Rogan part of the commentary with the fighters in the cage. So while he was doing that, I was giving Robelis his actual answers to Ariel's questions.
What's the translation?
Via the translator.
This is exasperating to me. This has been exasperating to me my entire adult life. The way things get translated in sports by the translators is always shitty in Spanish. I don't know if it's more accurate when it's Japanese or another language, but when it's Spanish, it's always weirdly inaccurate.
And we have a situation like that where my translator, while I'm doing Cuban Spanish, my translator is not really translating the things that I want him to say. So I need to make sure that he gets what I'm trying to tell him to make sure that gets through the airwaves. So I wasn't able to hear it because we had the music on at Dead Flamingo, plus we couldn't air the actual sound of the fight on our stream, which did very well, by the way. Thank you for everybody that supported, and to Netflix. But this is the breakdown of a Cuban fighter winning against a old Brazilian guy and what he said.
Oye, lo mandé para carajo con el piñazo ese de derecha, izquierda, derecha. Dormido, papá. Derecha, pan, izquierda, pan. Derecho otra vez, dormido en el canvas.
Yeah.
Lo despingué.
Yeah, he did. Look at this right here.
Llámame Robeli Despingation.
Despingue.
Llámame Robeli Despingation. Porque lo despingué. Oye, lo mandé para piso. Y lo despingué. Lo despingué, papi. Esa es la cosa.
Yeah, so we were excited coming into this fight. We came into the ring and he was kicking me in the calves.
No, dilo
low kicks were solid low kicks, and he got me a couple of times, but I was able to persevere, and I found an opening.
No, lo despingué. Dile que lo despingué.
And once I caught my window, I knew to go ahead. The bald he went ahead and knocked his ass out.
It's a good lane for you guys. I don't think anybody else is doing quite that. I
told
Sedano last week that he needs to pick up the lane of a smoking pipe and a robe everywhere that he goes to give hot takes, because the journalists are being run out, and so you might as well develop new forms
of entertainment.
Yeah. You got to figure out other ways to entertain people. Something that happened during the Timberwolves Spurs series that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I think that most people listening to this think that the championship is going to be played tonight. It's going the next 7 games between the Spurs, I think, outside of New York, that most people listening to this believe that the Thunder and the Spurs are about to play for the championship. I also think that most people listening to this think that the Spurs are the only thing that exists in the world that can bother OKC. When I was talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander earlier, and it may have sounded like I was trying to dilute his greatness, I should point out he's got a 140-game streak of 20-plus point games. He's won 2 MVPs. He's an NBA champion. He's got a Finals MVP. He's got a scoring title. But 140 straight games of over 20 points a game, that streak is crazy. That is the kind of scoring that is nuts when you look up yesterday and you see what Tobias Harris did in a Game 7, or you look at what James Harden did in a Game 7, or you look at what Cade Cunningham did in a Game 7. And you've got a 2-time MVP who just keeps scoring. He's a metronome. He scores 20 points in every single game, and their defense is so good that if they get something from him, they're going to win most of their games. But the talking point, evidently, after Spurs Timberwolves was about the fact that Anthony Edwards, when the game was over, in what has been a bad NBA playoffs, 4 close games. Like, that's not up for dispute. We don't have memorable moments. We've got an overtime game here and there between, Toronto and Cleveland. But go ahead and give me all the moments you remember from this NBA postseason that are larger than Wemby throwing an elbow in one of the dirtiest plays you'll ever see. And I'm going to say again that he has no idea, and the Spurs have no idea how lucky they got there. Because when I talk to you guys about what athletes are presently doing with body mechanics, where Josh Allen is changing his throwing motion so that he can get more from his legs and hips into his arms, there are very few human beings on earth who have the size and flexibility to have the amount of force in the elbow that Wemby would have from his feet when he elbows somebody in the face. The Spurs were really lucky that wasn't an all-time horrific moment on television where Naz Reid is just lying on the floor and then the NBA has to react more forcefully than they would have had to react for what was the action. It's the same action, but they're fortunate that Naz Reid evidently doesn't have a glass chin, because the amount of force that, and Tony can speak to this, with the flying elbows and what is knockout power in the MMA, the amount of force that arrives in Wemby's elbow that starts in his feet from the torque that happens there would knock out most human beings. Anthony Edwards going over with 8 minutes left in a spent game. He explains here, Udonis Haslem and others were mad at him for doing this, but here's Anthony Edwards explaining what it is that he did at the end of his season.
I think you went down to the Spurs bench with 8 minutes to go in the game. Like, what was kind of the thought process to do it in the middle of the game there rather than kind of waiting for the end?
I mean, at that point, you ain't going back in, so you're just trying to get them the respect they deserve.
Udonis Haslem and others had trouble with this. I don't know about the rest of you, but hearing athletes I have covered since high school sound like grandparents on television is something that I'm going to have to take some time to get used to, because hearing Udonis Haslem scold Anthony Edwards on this was not surprising to me, but it did make me feel old.
And what I will say is, as great as Ant is as a basketball player, there's still some growth for him as well. Because as a leader, I would not have walked down there and shook their hand. I would not have walked down there and shook their hand with 8 minutes left in the game. As a leader of my troops and my guys, I would not show that weakness. The game is not over. I got 8 minutes left. I still got smoke coming out of my ears because I'm so damn mad we losing. Let me calm down for those 8 minutes since I'm not in, and then after those 8 minutes, I'll go down there and I'll congratulate them and their coaching staff. But in the middle of the game, when I got guys that have sat the bench and cheered me on, no, I'm going to sit there and cheer those guys on. I'm going to put that energy back into those guys. And then when the game's over, I'll go over there and shake their hand.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree with pretty much all of that from Udonis Haslem. The place that I would disagree is I don't think it's him showing weakness by going over there. I mean, he's showing tremendous sportsmanship. I don't think it's showing weakness, but the part that I disagree with is if I'm the leader of the team like Anthony Edwards is, my number one priority always is my team. And so I'd rather support my team until the game is over and then show the sportsmanship. I'm not even down on Anthony Edwards doing it because what he did was classy and respectful. I just don't understand what was the race. It's not a race to be the first to congratulate. You could have done it immediately after the game is over. I don't understand what the purpose there was.
Look at me, wasn't that what he was doing? Just to show everybody how much grace he has with 8 minutes left? He was being taken out of the game. That's you take Anthony Edwards out of the game. Is that not an act of surrender? I mean, Haslem is talking about troops. Is it not? He might as well have gone over there with a white flag. Mm-hmm. Like that, it is an act of surrender. He knew his season was over. He was going over there to congratulate them on ending his season.
I mean, he said it I wasn't going back in the game.
But he makes it seem like he's leaving to go into the locker room.
Literally, the game ends to go say, congratulations, everybody. 25 seconds.
He should have done that, though. I think he should have congratulated them and then kept going into his offseason. Just left for post-game interviews.
That's what he made it seem like. I got to get out of here. Like, I'm leaving.
Right.
I don't want people to say I didn't shake hands, so I'll just go do it now.
And you know what? How is it not a little bit odd from San Antonio's perspective? They were literally in their timeout huddle, sitting on the bench, going over what they're going to do next. Now, what the hell's Anthony Edwards doing here?
I mean, maybe his thought process was like, I'm pissed this is happening. I'm just going to congratulate him now, and I'm going to walk out of here the moment this is done because I don't want to deal with it. But I didn't see the very end. Did he dap anybody up after the game? I'm unsure.
I hope not.
But that was like...
It's redundant.
Yeah, I mean, he loves Wemby. Like, at the All-Star game, he was praising Wemby for making it the competitive game that it was. Like, I think he has an admiration. He kept saying, like, I'm not the face of the league. Let that guy be the face of the league. That's the face of the league.
It was also weird to me because if you ask me, who are some of the most competitive guys in that league, Anthony Edwards would be very close to the top.
Well, the thing, though, that I'm generally amused by when we turn all of these tiny things into talking points that have drama in them, nobody questions how much Anthony Edwards cares, right? He's not one of the guys that we have questions about how much he actually cares about winning. That's not the thing. The next thing on this is that you have to be temper tantrum guy who's smoldering and is so mad about losing that he can't bear to shake hands with somebody else because he cares so much about losing. But Anthony Edwards, I don't believe anyone's going to say, oh, I don't think that guy wants to win or he cares less than the average person.
I feel like UD did kind of imply that. He's like, if I'd be sitting over there with smoke coming out of my ears, I'm too angry to go over
I know,
there.
but so this is not surprising, but Udonis learned obviously at the knee of Pat Riley, who once upon a time, because these are things that grandparents do generationally when it comes to sports. Pat Riley once used to fine his players if they would help an opponent up.
I like it.
I know you like it, but it's from a different time. That's not the time we live in anymore. And we don't live in Udonis Haslam's time for this stuff anymore either. These guys are, whether you like it or not, friendlier than you'd like them to be. And so we just glanced over what Jeremy said. Think about that. Do you think Magic Johnson would say, no, I'm fine with Larry Bird being the face of the league? I don't want to be the face of the league. It's fine that Wemby's the face of the league. You tell me all the guys in history that you think Michael Jordan would have said that about anybody? Like, we're just in a different age for these guys are all their own business, and they all know how they care. And also, Anthony Edwards knows something else, too. Holy shit, that guy's a foot taller than me. Like, that guy blocked 5 shots a game at the beginning of this series before he elbowed Naz Reid and hit him. And do you see the size of Naz Reid? Like, do you know how hard it is to hit that guy with an elbow that knocks him down? There aren't many human beings roaming Earth in the history of Earth who can do that. Anthony Edwards kind of knows, his league now. Why? Because he's bigger than everybody.
It's like, I do a lot of great things, but that guy, that guy's
he does them at a foot taller than me.
Dan, can I just tell you, we have an incredible Roy's video of the day today. Have you seen this yet? It's a video of 1 million Vin Diesels versus 5 King Kongs.
Who you got?
Unbelievable.
I think I got to go with the 5 King Kongs. Like
I agree.
I could be. I'll put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. 5 King Kongs versus 1 million Vin Diesels. Who you got?
I will tell you, at one point here, the 1 million Vin Diesels, they take out 4 of the Kongs.
Spoiler alert.
But there is a Kong standing at the end of it?
There is. Incredible.
Mike, why is Richard Gere staring me in the face? Why is there the construction helmet that is battered and is the gear head? Why has that been taken out here during this video that we're watching of 1 million Vin Diesel's fighting 5 King Kongs?
Because it's the greatest week in motorsports. You have so much going on now. No Monaco this year for Formula One. They're going to be doing, I believe, the Canadian Grand Prix, trying to eat into American motorsports, North American motorsports, and I don't like it because it's Indy 500 week, and NASCAR's longest race of the season happens in Charlotte. And Dan, while yesterday was the All-Star race, kind of a gimmick, Denny Hamlin won it. We transition now from Fox to Prime's coverage of the NASCAR season. I thought Prime did an incredible job last year with their first year with NASCAR. But as a surprise, we now have a huge storyline going into Charlotte because Catherine Legg is attempting, out of nowhere, to be the 6th driver ever to pull the double. Do the Indianapolis 500 and the Coke Zero 600 in Charlotte, race all 1,100 in one single day. A big deal was made about this when Kyle Larson attempted to do this the last 2 years, and he failed. In fact, I think there's a new documentary on Prime about it. Catherine Legg, who only has like 8 NASCAR Cup starts, core discipline more geared towards Indy, announced last week, out of nowhere, I'm going for the double. So now we have a huge storyline. She'd obviously be the first woman to accomplish such a feat. And with this, the achievement is completing it. Many drivers have tried and failed to complete both races.
I was going to ask you, what's the most successfully the double's ever been done?
Tony Stewart. Kurt Busch tried it a few years ago. Kyle Larson tried it twice in the last 2 years. And after he flamed out in Indy, he decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. It was very difficult because you have to keep in mind, training for the Indianapolis 500, there's practice. It's an all-month deal. It is a month-long
and racing one of these races is exhausting.
Yes, you hop on a bird immediately after Indy, and you get to Charlotte. One of the times Kyle Larson tried it, he was left in his car because the race was delayed, and they didn't give him an opportunity to switch into the car with the driver because Indy also got delayed. So he wasn't able to race all the miles available to him. And last year, he crashed in Indy. He's a very aggressive driver. I think Catherine Legg is actually well-positioned to do this because in NASCAR, she's usually in the back of the pack. Now, she's had her difficulty in NASCAR, but she's not this super aggressive driver. Part of Kyle's, Kyle Larson's attempt at it was that he's so aggressive. He was legitimately trying to win both races, and he doesn't change his style of racing.
You're saying, though, that success is simply completing the 2 races. That's
many
what
skilled
success
drivers.
is.
Yes. Winning is another conversation. That's what made Kyle's pursuit so interesting because he's actually surprisingly, shockingly good at driving the Indy car because he's one of the best drivers on the planet. But also last year he was a Cup Series champion. He had a legit shot at winning one of those, and that's next level. But he failed to complete it. 2 times in a row, failed to complete it. It's really hard to do. So just completing it would be a massive Mount Rushmore type of achievement for women's motorsports, no doubt, for Catherine Legg. And by the way, you can tune into the NASCAR Cup Series to see if she pulls off this double in Charlotte, Sunday, May 24th, 6 p.m. Eastern on Prime.
I'm smiling thinking about the NASCAR All-Star game because I'm envisioning the NBA All-Star game where they don't play any defense and stuff. Like, what does that look like in NASCAR? It's like you just let everyone pass? It's like, go on by.
It was weird.
They're all going like 30 miles an hour.
There's like 3 segments, and so they have like these stages, right? And if you finish near the top in the first stage, they send you to the back of the pack in the second stage. They take your like average position for like a third all in. It was an interesting race. A lot of big-time wrecks for an all-star race at the Monster Mile. I like it being there.
In the legendary 2001 double attempt, Tony Stewart finished 6th at the Indy and 3rd in the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, that remains the gold standard in double attempts. Only 6 drivers ever trying this. So this is a huge deal, obviously, for motorsports. It's a great surprise turn of events, but you also have the added element of this is a woman that is attempting to do this. She'd obviously become the first ever to do that as a woman. It's a big deal.
Dan, I got some breaking news for you here. For those
Is it better than the breaking news from before? Because the breaking news you gave us before was not breaking news. Is this real breaking news?
That was a report, though.
Yeah, that was a report. I reported earlier that contrary to what Jaylen Brown would like, Stephen A. Smith is not retiring. That's a report. You don't have to like my reports, but that's a report. This is breaking news, all right? And for those who were concerned about former Orlando Magic head coach Jamal Mosley remaining unemployed for long, you don't have to be concerned any longer because he is the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. Fly, Pelican, fly.
Good spot for him.
Is it?
Yeah. You know what's better than, you know what's worse than coaching the Pelicans? Not having a job.
Is it?
It's a good spot.
Not sure. Because I believe that will end Mosley's career. Like, as a coach, whatever happens there is going to finish his career. That Zion Williamson and whatever happens there is going to end his career as a head coach.
Okay. Is it better to get one last paycheck there or, like, wait it out? Maybe even go become an assistant somewhere else and hope you can ride the coattails of somebody to a better job opportunity 5 years from now. Take that risk.
You know what's better? Getting all the money I can now and then being able to get an assistant job somewhere else for the rest of my life.
He's being paid by the Magic this year, correct?
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, you don't get double dip.
So I'm going to reframe the question. What is better, Tony? Not working and getting paid the full coaching amount, or having to work for the money and coaching the Pelicans?
The former. The former for sure.
That's why I'm not sure that this is great, and I don't think it deserved breaking news. I don't think that Mosley himself would think that that deserves to be broken into our broadcast. I think he'd say it'd be fine if you ignored that the same way you ignored my firing after 5 seasons with the Magic. I think he'd be fine with us just continuing to move along.
He will still be paid through the 27-28 season.
Talk about the double.
Oh,
he's an extension.
Oh, so he's getting the double. He's got.
What could be better than that? You're going to pay me here. I'm going to pay me there. I don't have to work there, but I have to work here.
I don't have to win in Orlando or New Orleans.
I just get paid.
I just travel with the team and go all over the place.
I don't know if there's one of those stipulations, sort of like college football, where it's like
I don't think
whatever he's paid by the Pelicans maybe counteracts what he
Yes.
would have been paid by the Magic.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's getting paid
He
by
was
the
still supposed to be paid once he was fired. So it's like, would you have just sat there and waited for that to run out before, or do you try to go get this head coaching job now?
That's
Pelicans.
the question.
The Pelicans. I mean, Derek Queen.
It's a bad job. Hard stop.
Pretty bad job.
I think working for Portland at the moment might be a bad job, but for some reason, Chris Cody was telling me that he has had his mind changed on Tom Dundon, the Portland owner, who the only thing I know about him and the only thing most people listening to this know about him is that he's cheap. It's a terrible thing for a rich man to endure, that the only thing we know about you is that you are famously cheap. But Chris, why have you had your mind changed? What did Rich Paul and Max Kellerman do with the owner of the Trailblazers that changed your mind on his way of behaving in business?
It's just things I've been reading and seeing on social media the last few weeks. My perception was just, holy crap, this is like a Jeffrey Loria. This is like the Blazers have what we had with the Marlins, and maybe they do, but I heard him do an interview with them, and I came away seeing his side of it a little bit. This is him responding to just the allegation that he's cheap.
I just don't want to waste money. I want to invest it. I'll have as many masseuses. I'll have the best food. We're going to take care of the players because it helps you win. It's part of the deal. Some of the stuff about how we're going to run the business, you know, Portland spends $100 million more a year on their business than the Hurricanes do, not including players. The Hurricanes, since I bought the team, have the first or second best record in the league. So I'm just not going to waste $100 million just because somebody wants to write our article calling me cheap. I'm just not going to do it.
Okay, but basketball is more expensive than hockey. Like, what are you
But
doing?
he's just saying for staff, $100 million extra that he's spending, like, not have nothing to do with players or coaches.
There's no way that number's accurate. $100 million.
That's what he says.
That is what he says. And why would a billionaire lie? I trust them implicitly.
Certainly about money.
They're never going to lie about money. I think they're ethical and transparent, and there's no reason that he's doing that interview other than to tell us the truth that doesn't favor him in any way.
In fact, he's got to save money. We need him to save more money instead of spending more money. We need to save it.
I want you guys to absorb how rare it is. Go ahead, think about it for a second. Outside of Donald Sterling, give me all the owners in the history of basketball that you associate with cheapness. Like, this guy's got a rough thing to overcome right at the start.